recording from my studio here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a born and raised New Yorker, now living in the South. Welcome to Confessions of a Financial Advisor, the antidote to conventional financial independence wisdom. My name is Al. I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. I've worked with thousands of clients in all areas of the country and from all walks of life. Through the relationships I had with these people, I've discovered the mindsets and behaviors that are most effective in a person's financial life, plus the pitfalls and all the BS to watch out for. The financial independence community today has completely lost its way, and I felt it was time to call out the FI gurus, podcasters, and self-proclaimed pundits. This podcast is not about the numbers. That's what all the other financial podcasts talk about. We will focus on the emotional and psychological components that drive our behavior. I am not looking for new clients, and I'm not interested in running for any kind of office. I'm going to tell you like it is from an insider's perspective and pull back the curtain on the financial industry. Now, let's get into Confessions of a Financial Advisor. Welcome to Confessions of a Financial Advisor, Episode 1. In this episode, I want to just lay the groundwork of what we're going to be talking about with episodes going forward. My blog is at faconfessions.com, and this podcast is kind of stemmed from all the writings in the blog. We'll be talking about the blog posts and just the different concepts and ideas that interrelates with finance. So I've been thinking about this podcast, well, the blog and the podcast, just all the writing and the ideas and concepts. I've been thinking about this for over 10 years. I've been a financial advisor for over 20 years. And let's just say I spent the last many years absorbing content from all different financial independence blogs, podcasts, Audible books. I've tried to listen to everything. I think I've pretty much listened to most things. There's always new things coming out, but I would say, it's rare that I could find an Audible book that I have not listened to that has anything to do with either self-improvement, finance, financial independence, that type of thing. The common theme I see predominantly talked about in all of the financial independence or FIRE, financial independence, retire early, is they talk about the numbers. They talk about the numbers and strategy. This is what you do. This is how much you need to save. This is how you need to invest. These are the things that you need to do. A checklist of save more, budget your money, hacking, whatever it's house hacking or not having a car, any type of way to save more money. And then once you have that money, how do we invest it? And then once you have enough, how do we withdraw it? Great. It's all good information, all useful. To me, it's like putting the cart before the horse. If you're not talking to the public or to people, if you're not talking to them about the emotional and psychological aspects that affect their behaviors, all the strategy, all the numbers, it's meaningless. If you're not going to stick with the plan, then what's the point of even talking about strategy? It's like saying, when it comes to diet, people that want to lose weight, maybe they'll try the Atkins diet, maybe they'll do the keto diet. But if their head's not right before they do this diet, they can do it for a month or two, have some success. But it always seems that people revert back to, their belief system. If they believe they're a heavy person, then they're going to go back to being a heavy person. It's something about their beliefs and understanding how their mind works that's going to determine if they have success going forward, whether it's diet, whether it's exercise, whether it's finance, retirement, that type of thing. One of the main things I'd like to address is I want to dig into how easily we're influenced. How easily we're influenced and why. Think about just the advertising industry. We're so easily influenced, asking why we believe certain things and what affects us. Like what affects our mindset and how do we get in front of these emotionally charged events so that we don't become reactive and mindless. I mean, that's kind of what I think a happy life is all about. If you can stop being reactive and mindless and you could examine what you're doing and why you're doing it, to me, it gives you some distance. You're not just living this life where you're just bounced around by circumstance. Circumstance is just kicking the crap out of you, and you're just a victim of circumstance. So I think understanding and questioning the stories we believe, the ones we tell ourselves on a daily basis, it's one of the most important things to do for not only your financial life, but for everything. So this podcast was designed to examine the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we fuse with, the commonly held beliefs that are all out there and that everybody tends to agree on. So once everybody agrees, then like, oh, well, this is facts. Well, I'm here to tell you that questioning those beliefs are definitely a good thing. I feel that the deep introspective work that you do, that should be 90% of what you're doing. Deep introspective work. How does your mind work? How do you think about things? How do you come to your beliefs? Why do you believe certain things? When would you change your belief? Would you change it with sufficient evidence, new evidence that came up? How much evidence do you need? Just things that you need to know so that you're not blindsided. Because what happens is people focus all of their energy on strategy and numbers. And you can understand these things till you're blue in the face, until you know it inside, outward, and backwards. But if you don't behave in the ways over a long period of time, those numbers and strategies don't mean anything, because you may make a decision that completely derails that strategy and plan. So I think 90% needs to be talked about. How are you going to behave? How are you thinking? What are your emotions going to be like? How do you normally react in stressful situations? Once you have a good understanding of that, then you could put strategies in place, because you're already knowing, you're kind of getting out ahead of the pitfalls and the bumps in the road that are going to come. The most important part of this is understanding yourself from the inside out. And then secondarily, 10% of the time, 10% of your energy should be spent on strategies and numbers. Strategies and numbers you can figure out pretty quickly. There's nothing that complicated about it. So the true success really comes from that internal work. And that's kind of what this podcast is going to talk about. We're going to talk about religion. We're going to talk about relationships, psychology, stories we tell ourselves, why we believe certain stories, how do we rewrite the stories, what stories are benefiting us, when do we know that they're not benefiting us. Lots of different things regarding how things affect our behavior. Because it's all well and good to know what you want to do, and to know the numbers, and to know the actual techniques, and like you have all these things, you have checklists and strategies and techniques, and look, you get to a point where you realize, I know how to do this and all the numbers work. But people don't realize that there's so much emotion behind money and behind finance. There's so much emotion behind it. And again, it's all well and good when you have a 10-year market like we've had, where everybody's been doing well and making money. But what happens when that bad year comes? What are you going to be thinking like? And where is that thinking going to take you? Is it going to get too overwhelming and you're going to make a very stupid decision? If you don't know this stuff up front, let me assure you, those stupid decisions come, and you'll convince yourself every which way that the sky is falling, that you're going to lose all of your money, and you need to do something to prevent the bleeding. And when you make those bad decisions, that derails the entire plan. The entire plan was useless, because you've now derailed it because you didn't understand how your emotions were going to work. They got overwhelming. You panicked. You get a fight or flight response. You've listened now. You've convinced yourself of a story that everything is bad. If you don't know this, there's no use in knowing the strategies and numbers. So this is what I want to focus on. Every other podcast that you'll hear out there within the financial independence community will focus more on, again, strategies, numbers. How do you do it? What's the math behind this? This podcast won't talk about that. I don't really want to talk about, if you get a 10% return, there's financial calculators out there. There's retirement calculators. There's so much information out there. You could literally spend 20 minutes and give yourself 8 bullet points of what to do. And if you just stuck with those 8 bullet points, that's enough strategy to be financially successful. Save as much as you can, invest the difference, and then just get on with your life. I mean, that's kind of it. Pay off the bad debt. You hear the same things over. It's not like, I'm not going to say anything new on that front. So I want to get away from this overly positive pep rally that most of the podcasts have. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be a Tony Robbins session. Because what happens is I think those podcasts are designed to draw you in. Everybody's patting themselves on the back and patting each other on the back. And you did so great. No, you're so great. No, you're better. No, you're better. I love you more. I love you more. It's that kind of thing. And it kind of winds up leaving you feeling unsatisfied and disappointed, because it's designed to just draw you in. Like, wow, it's positive. It's a rah-rah, cheerleading pep rally session. So that's what I want to steer clear from. And, I'll let you, the audience, call me out if I ever kind of come off too cheery or too overly optimistic and positive. I don't think it's a bad thing to be positive and optimistic, but it has to have some foundation of truth. We can't just run through life believing certain concepts because you've bought into this commonly held belief, but then come to realize you did all the work to, you're hyped up, you're positive, you're all this stuff. And then down the road, something bad happens and then the whole thing goes to heck. So this is my attempt to literally get people off the hamster wheel of that overly positive, that giant goal setting, adrenaline fueled, we're going to make millions and millions and millions. And everybody's overinflating and have delusions of grandeur. It doesn't need to be that way. You could be successful and you could have a content and happy life, but it comes from the inside out. So if we can get that right, if we can actually start looking at how do I react in stressful situations? What do my emotions do? What thoughts are triggering, very intense emotions? And how can I recognize that? And what are going to be like my backstops? What are going to be my triggers to realize that time to pull back, time to reevaluate what I'm believing? Have I heard 4 different financial independence pundits tell me the same thing, and now I've just automatically believed it to be true? These are things that we need to look at. I think the deep introspective work is where the true success is hidden. I by no way or by no means believe that I'm there. I think this is, it's an ongoing process. But this is the stuff I love to think about. And so this is in turn what I want to talk about. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the podcasts. I've put a lot of work into this and I really enjoy doing it. And we're going to talk about a lot of great concepts. And feel free to reach out to me. My website is faconfessions.com. And we'll see you next time.